opportunity. I thank Dr. Chandrasekhar for giving me this opportunity to present the two interesting cases. Actually, I was not aware that rheumatology exists in 2009. So many physicians also not aware of that. I came across a case of ankylosing spondylitis. I asked him where you are getting treated. So he told Chandra. I asked what is Chandra. Then he told that it's an immunology center in Basveshwar. Then I came to know that there is also a fellowship thing, and then I was interested in rheumatology, so I did my fellowship in 2010. So this case is from medical college. This is a polyarthritis in a child. A 5-year-old boy presented in August 2010. So he had polyarthritis for 3 months. It began in small joints of hand and progressed over a month to involve wrist, elbow and ankle, both small and large joint. And it is symmetrical, only mild fever. He had no connective CTD symptoms. He had received 1 month of short course of steroids in July and responded well. So at present he had only pain with swelling right elbow and left ankle flare. He had no night sweats or weight loss. So no significant past history, normal developmental history. So on examination he had few lymph nodes and other systemic examination was normal. So I had these investigations. Hemoglobin was 9. Apart from this, there is inflammatory marker. Others were negative. So I repeated. So ESR was 70, it has increased. Then LFT was normal. Since he had a lymph node, I had biopsied and it turned out to be reactive lymphadenitis. So this is a boy presenting with 3 months history of polyarthritis. So the diagnosis would be suspect juvenile inflammatory arthritis. Other infections were worked out, it was negative. So I thought it's JIA, polyarticular type, RF negative. So I started him on naproxen and gave methotrexate, and I thought I give 1 month short course of as a bridging therapy. So he felt 90% better, but had mild intermittent fever, no arthritis. I tapered the Visalon, continued methotrexate. But next week he presented with fever spike. He had wrist tender and swollen, generalized lymphadenopathy. So I think I can stop it here, sir.
Sure. Any clues?
He had no BC terms, no weight loss, no fever, no night sweats, and he had arthritis, typical swelling of all joints.
No, but I think if you see the in between, the previous one, the WBC column,
This one, sir?
very few atypical cells seen.
Very few.
Atypical cells are seen.
Okay, but yeah, I got FNSC, suspecting there might be arthritis, malignancy. So it was reactive or lymphadenitis.
What would have been the next best to do when you have atypical lymphocyte? Bone marrow biopsy.
Or I would have repeated
Or you would have repeated
peripheral smear.
Peripheral smear, looked for atypical cell.
But he was not so sick.
Yeah. No, contrary to the previous case which was presented, the patient was fine.
And he had typical arthritis, swelling of joints. So it's not periarticular or bone pain.
Yeah.
And child was active.
Active.
So I didn't suspect.
At this point.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Did he have fluid in the right elbow?
Right elbow, yeah, it was swollen. I didn't aspirate, it was swollen. Aspiration for what, sir?
Fluid for infection.
Infection, okay.
Was the possibility of systemic onset JIA considered at this stage?
Yeah, it can be. So, systemic onset, I had done serum ferritin, it was normal. Next, I did, after this, I did it and it's normal. So, since he had this, I thought I might have missed malignancy. So, I repeated peripheral smear and total count was 14,800 and he had hepatosplenomegaly and it turned out to be acute lymphoblastic leukemia.
I think the rule book here is, I think it's reminiscent of the previous case. You can always see that it's a sick child, but even a non-sick child, you should always keep a possibility of leukemias as one of the possibility, because it's written very clearly in the books of rheumatology and pediatrics. Incidence of JIA and leukemias are more or less close in the pediatric age group. It's basically because of the epidemiological reason and because the incidence reason. The incidence of leukes as well as the JIA is almost closer. Whereas the incidence of arthritis increases as the age progresses. 25 to 35, rheumatoid dominates over all the malignancy possibilities. It's almost say that malignancy chances around 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 50,000 is a possibility of a myeloproliferative malignancy in between 25 to 45. Whereas rheumatoid arthritis is 1 out of 100. It's very, very high. So the common possibility is rheumatoid. This is how the statistics of incidence makes us to consider the DD section. And that atypical lymphocyte should have been the clue for us to progress further. The next case.
Sir, how do you explain the arthritis in this case? JRA is sort of.
Now see, the problem is whenever there is an infiltration in the periarticular area, there is a reactionary effusions come. There is something called, when there is a periarticular bone marrow infiltration, you get what we call as a reactionary effusion. Probably that reactionary effusion misled him to reconsider a diagnosis.
Yeah. I went through the literature. So, almost 10% of the patient came present with polyarthralgia and 2% with polyarthritis.
Typical with effusion.
So, that's what misled me. I didn't initially suspect ALL. So, here lymphocytosis is uncharacteristic of JIA. Usually they have neutrophilia. Even so, it's almost 70 to 80% can be neutrophilia. And then thrombocytopenia is rare in JIA. So, actually this case, and then there was a progressive increase in lymphocytes. Even though he was normal, so it was from 48 to 52. Even in children, so usually up to 50 is taken as cutoff. They are predominant lymphocytosis. Even when he felt better, he had mild fever, but with total count increase, lymphocytes has increased to 56. So that time I should have repeated peripheral smear. So the clinical pearl here is that immunological cases are constantly evolving and it can be masquerading. So clinical suspicion and vigilance is a must. So case 2, there was infection and arthritis. A 55-year-old gentleman came with generalized weakness for 1 month, fever for 10 days, then cough with purulent expectoration 10 days. So he had no history of diabetes mellitus. He had arthritis both knee, documented arthritis both knee as well history wise, left elbow, inflammatory back pain for 1 year, and sulfasalazine 500 mg OD for 1 year. This is suboptimal dose actually. So on examination he had pallor, pulse rate was 100, BP 80/60, he was febrile, there was a right basal craft and bronchial breathing, and on examination there was left knee and wrist was tender and swollen. So there was neutrophilia, raised ESR, then X-ray he had non-homogeneous opacity, right lower zone. So I thought it's right basal pneumonia with sepsis. I had sent for sputum and begged for culture sensitivity with sepsis and with seronegative spondyloarthritis. So I treated him with antibiotic and hydration. Day 3 was better. No cough, cough was there but reduced, no fever. But he developed vomiting with nausea and increased fatigue. BP fell to 90/60, which was recovered. I did serum electrolytes, it was normal. ECG was normal, chest X-ray was status quo. There was no increase in the pneumonic patch. So, I mean, what additional history we can get from this? This is basically a 55-year-old, to summarize, 50-year-old gentleman with SSA on sulfasalazine, now presenting with pneumonia, maybe community acquired pneumonia, who had improved but suddenly developed vomiting and fatigue. Yeah, septic shock should be considered, but with antibiotics he had improved. I had used broad spectrum antibiotics. He was better. Only after day 3 he started deteriorating. X-ray was normal. I mean, status quo, there was no increase in patch. He was afebrile. I retook his history. I got some old X-rays. There was right sacroiliitis and osteoporosis of lumbar spine. So then he had increased back pain for past 6 months, and he was taking a powder, half pack per day, which he felt better with that, and he had discontinued 1 month back due to epigastric pain. So since he discontinued that, he had generalized weakness. So I thought it probably could be Addison's, and this can be it can be a steroid. So I had sent from random cortisol level, and then I gave him hydrocortisone. Only with 2 doses by evening, BP rose to 170/80, and pulse rate was normal. So random cortisol came as 4. So I gave him antibiotics and discharged him and increased sulfasalazine to 1 gram BID. I didn't know what is the dose, so I put him on prednisolone 10 mg OD and tapered over a month, and he was fine. So the clinical pearl is that complete drug history is a must, including the alternatives. So almost 50% of our patients, even techies or even even doctors will try alternative medicine before considering our allopathic medicine.
This is one of the interesting things, I think. Probably if you have gotten hands on the book which we have given you, I think I made that point very clear, that you need to take an elaborate drug history in the patients who comes with arthritis and bronchial asthma. These are the 2 patients where a possible misuse of steroid will be there. Patient may reveal it, may not reveal it. If the patient suddenly starts deteriorating, not able to explain his accelerating pulse rate, not able to get his blood pressure back to normal in spite of all resuscitation measures and processes, you need to seriously reconsider that probably the patient is going into Addison's. So a push of steroid is going to salvage this set of patients. It's a very common things what we see. The patients may not be able to elaborate. Patient who has a possibility of being treated by steroid, if a patient moves into this kind of crisis, you should seriously relook that probably patient might have taken steroids, whether he tells it or he doesn't tell it. So, I mean, that's the
yes, sir.
True.
And steroid should not be stopped even in infection. Even patient develops empyema or any abscess. If the patient is on long-term steroid, it should not be stopped. In fact, it has to be increased. In the stress, steroid requirement increases by 50%.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.